Welcome back again, you guys. It is raining cats and dogs, and thank you once again, as always, for joining us. On this week's program, we have a very special one. We will have two newcomers. We will be joined later on by Truman State University head men's basketball coach Mike Worley in the midst of a late season playoff push. But first, we will be joined by brand new Kirksville head baseball coach Cruz Lewis. And we will also be joined by a member of the Aquadogs program to talk with us about how that program is coming along and how you can be participants. Paul Yoder will be joining us in the program as well. Firstly, Coach Lewis, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you and welcome to the program. We appreciate it greatly.
I really do.
Firstly, as we do with all new coaches, just talk a little bit about your journey and, how it kind of led you to this point as head coach of the Kirksville baseball program.
So I grew up from Macon. Grew up my whole life there. Family owns a body shop. Played baseball since I could walk. A lot of travel ball. Looking to go to college. I graduated in 2020, so I am very young. But COVID hit, and they took all the scholarships away because everybody got another year. So I didn't have an opportunity to go play JUCO ball like I had intended to. So I decided to just go work. And I wasn't even going to go to college. And then my mom, thankful for it now, said, you need to go to college. You can pay it off. You can go do whatever you want to go to college. So I went up there to be an ag business major, which sounds weird, but that's what I wanted to do. Got up there, tried it, found out I didn't like it. I decided I want to do something active. I like teaching, kind of like coaching. I love baseball, like sports. So let's give this PE thing a try. So then I went up there, got a degree in physical education with a minor in coaching. And I'm very close to completing my exercise science degree also. I need to go back and finish that. I kind of left that untied. I wanted to get a job going. But so anyway, my sophomore year up there, I was wanting to get into baseball again. Playing slow pitch softball and stuff, which isn't big, but I thought, man, I really would like to try this high school baseball coaching stuff. Well, Hans Plackmeyer, who is the head coach of the Maryville Spoofhounds, gave me the opportunity of a lifetime and said, all right, you want to be a baseball coach? Be the freshman head coach. So, sophomore in college, I got to be the freshman head baseball coach. And it was fun. A lot of learning involved. But he kept me around, and I ended up getting promoted to assistant varsity. I called the pitches, worked with all the catchers. We won a district championship up there. And then I graduated. And I was doing that volunteering. They weren't paying me, which it didn't matter to me. But so I was looking for a job, and whenever I applied for the Kirksville job, it's kind of funny. I didn't think I was going to get it because it's kind of a job that normally goes to a higher up guy, an older, a more experienced guy. But they took a chance on me, and I'm so very grateful for that. So that's pretty much how we got here. I'm excited.
It's very funny, and I don't want you to make any light of this necessarily or think anything differently about this opportunity, but this is the first time in a very, very long time that it's been a non-Kirksville kid coaching this program. First time in a very, very long time. And it's unique too because Derek Allen stepped away so that he could fulfill his administrative role. And so he will still be there along the way to
and he's been great.
He's
been great to work with, bounce ideas off of.
Talking about all that stuff.
And still works at the high school. He's been great to bounce ideas off of. I mean, I got all these people in my corner helping me figure out stuff because the baseball part of it, it's the stuff I don't know. I've played baseball my whole life. Both my brothers are fortunate enough. Gage pitches for Rolla at S&T. My youngest brother Ryder's a senior at Macon. He's going to Columbia College on baseball. Baseball has been the fan. It's a thing. But the stuff you don't know, man, they've been awesome helping me out. I mean, you can't ask for anything better than that. Two experienced guys to be able to talk to. It's awesome.
Talk a little bit about entering this season. You guys were 14-16 last year, but came on late, hot. I think that Coach Allen, well, at the time, Coach Allen would agree with this, that a lot of the games that were left out there on the table were just not enough offensive output. You lose 9 seniors, just all of those things, X's and O's standpoint. Like, what do you do with this young group?
So I think partially, well, a big part of us that's going to help us win baseball games, I believe, is A, getting runners on base. Anyway, anyhow, it doesn't matter. And B, they need seat time. And what I mean by that is funny, we truck pull as a family. But I'm being serious. So my dad used to say, hey, you need seat time. You can't just go out there. You need seat time. You got to do it. Well, it's the same thing with playing a varsity sport. You've got to have seat time. So we need games. We need innings. And we're going to make some mistakes. And that's okay. What will determine whether we have success or not is how we learn from those and how much better we get each day. So that's going to, that's something we can control. We can control our effort.
What goes into a lot of these things, especially as a young coach, when you have, more than half of your roster is participating in winter sports. You haven't really gotten a chance to get them in the gym. They're in the height of their season right now. How does that work for you?
So I made sure I tried my very best to go to as many games as possible, watch JV games. I wanted to see them play. Because those are my boys that I got. I'm very excited to have them back, to say the least. But it does make it tough. And tough by meaning, as a coach, you're always trying to set stuff up in your head. Oh, I can do this with this guy, or oh, we can work this way and this way. But I'm very excited to have them back, but I also want them to do well in their other sports. And I want to give a shout out to him. Coach Coombs has done an unbelievable job as a first-year head basketball coach. I got a lot of respect for that man. I think he's done a great job, and I hope they make a run.
Talk on that a little bit. Coombs, a friend of the program, has spoken a little bit about, he's coached at the collegiate level, and he's, we had a funny conversation a handful of weeks ago. He was in a situation where he's never had to coach a basketball game where there wasn't a shot clock. You know what I mean? Just like adapting those kind of things that you wouldn't necessarily anticipate, going down from, I don't mean down from, but going from the collegiate level to the high school level, and just different things you wouldn't anticipate. Bouncing ideas off of him and a bunch of other young coaches within the school district. How far has that gone for you?
Oh, unbelievable. I'm telling you, the people in my corner I have to talk to, I can't be more thankful for the situation that I got put in. I really believe that I was meant to be there, and I'm meant to be here. And the people in my corner, that's just a bonus. It really is. I can't say enough good things about them. So, but it's been nice to talk to somebody who's dealing almost with the same things that you are as a new head coach. Oh, did you know we have to do this? Yeah, I did. I just figured that out the other day. So it's been nice to have somebody to relate to.
What has kind of, since the time that you were hired on months and months ago, like without being able to have full access to these kids because they're playing other sports, like what have you been trying to accomplish in the meantime when it comes to having a productive baseball season in the spring over the course of these past 4 months?
So I will say, I coached football on Nez's request. He asked me that I would do it for him to get a little gist and to get to know the boys. And that was an awesome, awesome experience. I appreciated him so much. You learn it from a guy who's done it for, I don't care what sport it is. He's done it for however many years. He's in the Hall of Fame for a reason. That's helped me so much, just learning from him, and really working on my own craft. In baseball, we always say, "Hey, work on your craft." Every second a second is a point to work on your craft. Infielder, work on your fast hands, man. While you're playing catch, it's something. We're always getting better, right? I've tried to do that with myself. I study baseball. It helps. I love it. I love the sport. I really do. So it's not hard for me to sit down and read a book about baseball coaching strategies, what all these guys are doing. And I've spent a lot of my winter looking up drills, looking how people do this, listening to podcasts of other coaches talking about, hey, this worked for me. And while you never agree with everything everybody says, they've always got something good to say. So I've done my best to try to implement that just a little bit, take a piece from here, try to add it to my tool bag a little bit.
Kind of as a first-year head coach, a lot of the things as you have mentioned that go into it are not necessarily the X's and O's, but also the stuff that goes into being a head coach.
You're right.
Paperwork, etc.
Stuff you don't know unless you do it. I mean, that's what I've learned is sometimes,
Talk about those kind of things.
So it's even from get the paperwork, getting stuff ready. You don't think, nobody thinks about having to do, oh, I've got to have this sheet of paper out so these people can sign it. I've got to have this list ready for these people. I've got to have a sheet made for practice every day that does this, especially when you're the assistant coach beforehand. You didn't do all that stuff. You showed up, you looked at the sheet of paper, you said, hey, so what we're doing today, this is my job. I'm going to do my job. Now, instead of being a head coach, you're more of a GM. That's the way I like to put it, is you're more of a GM. You're running the whole operation, man, from getting supplies that you need, getting jerseys, booking this, doing this, setting the boys up to do this, to go be able to watch this program to get better. You're doing the whole 9 yards. So
what do you think? What do you think if this is to stick for you personally? Like you say, this is entirely brand new to you. But if you are going to be a long-term high school head baseball coach, like you aspire to do, I mean, what does that look like in your head?
I would like to be known as the person who helped these boys become men in the world. I think sometimes they get sent out and they're not ready. And I feel like a lot of that's on the coach. We spend a lot of time with the kids, right? So I want to be known as the guy that was a good role model to the boys and taught them how to have good work ethic, and create some good moral values that you just don't get unless you play a sport. And I think a lot of that revolves around a coach. Coach Nez, that's what he's done for 45 years. I mean, you listen to, you're not good at that unless guys from 20 years that you coached when you were the defensive coordinator at Warrensburg call you and check to see up how you're doing. I mean, you make an impact on those kids. So if anything, I want to be known as the coach that made an impact big enough that they were, they took some values out of it and they appreciated their time with me.
And you talk a little bit about Kirksville's infrastructure in general, just like a circumstance in which Greg Nesbitt gets a hold of you and says, hey, come coach, just so you get a chance to know these kids. Like, that has to go a long way.
Unbelievable. I mean, really, I really can't say enough good things. He took me under his wing, and I played football in high school. Playing it and coaching it's two different things. Playing it, you have two jobs. Yeah, if you're playing both sides of the ball, you have your job on offense, you have your job on defense. That's your jobs. Coaching is two different things. You got to know the whole part of the game. So that was a learning curve for me. I played football. I knew football. I liked watching football, but it's different whenever you get that deep dive into it. And everybody's work ethic can always be better. That man's work ethic is unbelievable. From the late nights to the early mornings, and he says that he can't do it like he used to. He said I would have thought he was crazy back in the day. But, I mean, it's just impressive. It really is. It's something to strive to want to be one day.
It's a funny predicament you find yourself in, because all of a sudden we're like, our season's right outside the corner, like right around the corner, March 21st, and you're still like hoping this basketball team can make as deep of a run as it can. Wrestling, of course, finishes on Saturday.
It does, and I get those boys back.
And you get those boys back, but it's going to be a little bit, hopefully, until you have these basketball guys. I mean, like, what are you looking at? Drawing up a lineup and thinking about, potential pitching rotations and things like that when you don't have full access to a team yet?
I think it's about, more so instead of doing that, I think it's about talking about the next man up mentality, because it happens all the time. And making sure that whenever their opportunity is presented, they are ready. I did everything I could to make sure to put them in the best position to be ready for that opportunity. I think if you look at the good state teams, it wasn't 9 boys. It was 13, 14, 18. It's numbers and numbers. There's the freshmen that didn't play for the first 12 games, and then they needed somebody in left field because the left fielder got hurt and he came out and bloomed, right? So, and a lot of that's on the boys too. Hey, you got to practice, you got to put the work in, right? But I think it's also on a coach for setting them up for success. So that's really what I've been working on. Not so much as setting the lineup up yet as making sure that I get as many of them ready as possible. And I don't know that you can make a lineup. We don't have enough experience. I've got 3 that played varsity time last year. Kyle White, Keegan Weiner, and Maddox Jackson. They've got some varsity. They've got seat time 3 seniors. Camden Perry and Ryan Shower, my other 2 seniors, and they played a lot of ball, and they got some varsity time last year too. You got to lean on those guys a little bit because the rest of your team doesn't have that experience necessarily. That class last year they graduated, they were a good class. The record may not have showed it, but they were a good baseball team. So it's hard to find spots whenever there's 9 solid guys out there plus 2 more that are fighting for spots, and they're all seniors. So I think instead of drawing up lineup, it's setting them up for success is what I'm trying to do.
Philosophically, from a baseball standpoint, one thing that we had talked about a little bit ago, manufacturing runs. A lot of runs left on the table and a lot of games lost by 1 or 2 runs, 8-6, 7-5, 4-3, whatever it might be. What's the difference in those games in a Lewis headed program?
So my goal every game, we have to get people on base. We're particularly fast, which is okay. It's a strength. You got to know what you're good at, what you're not good at. We may not hit a lot of home runs, but I feel that we can get people on base at a very good clip. And my goal is to get them on, get them around, and get them in. And it doesn't matter how that's done. It could be on an error, on a walk, a pass ball, somebody read a ball in the dirt. It's the little things. It's almost playing small ball. That's how I believe we'll win baseball games. That's my philosophy. Is I like playing small ball a little bit. I like doing the little things right. I think little things win you baseball games. The end of it. I think that's always the big deal in a maybe not an 8-7 game because that game kind of got away. A lot of runs were scored from both sides. Man, you get in those 3-2 games where it's a nail biter coming down. Both starting pitchers went 5. Those little things win you baseball games. When you make some mental errors and you don't do the little things correctly the whole game, I think that's what causes that one run.
As you well know from slow pitch softball, I use this metaphor all the time. Just hit the cutoff, man, and things will go okay.
No, it is about, and we talk about that a lot. I do my very best. I try to talk with the boys over everything. I want them to understand the game of baseball. That's my goal. I want them to understand the game of baseball. Because when you understand the game of baseball, you get to a point to where you don't need the coach to say, hey, we got to fix that. They know, especially if you understand the game, and they might have still made the mistake, but it's the fact that they went, all right, we got to fix that, right? When we get to that point, if we can get to that point, we will be doing okay.
From a philosophy standpoint, before we start to talk about your early season schedule, from a philosophy standpoint, how do you intend to approach the younger age levels and develop an interest and little kids coming up throughout the program and things like that?
So last summer, and it was because I was new and, new head coach, never done it before. I was still getting my feet wet. I didn't do a little kid camp, and that was a fail on my part. There needs to be one. And I even if it's just the high school boys being out there with them. I remember being 8 years old and looking at the high school boys. Man, you want to be one of those guys, right? It's that peak of interest, what you were just talking about. So this summer, I plan to be doing one of those at all cost. I think it's great. If I could get it a week long, 4 days, they don't have to be too long a time, an hour and a half. I would love for them to be out there with the high school boys, get some little kids involved, play around with them, learn some stuff.
Maybe that's, as your season approaches, maybe that's a little bit too far into the future, but I think that's a great starting point, is just generating interest just by being visible and saying, hey, we're high school baseball players. Come on out. We'll do whatever we can with you for an hour and a half, a couple times a week. I love that. Look ahead a little bit. March 21st, March is ever closer. You guys have dates with North Callaway and South Callaway. Is that a doubleheader on March 21st?
It is. It's the Jamboree.
March 21st, excuse me.
Yep, that'll be the icebreaker. Get back in the swing of things. You can do all you can in practice and scrimmage games, but whenever you get there and it's time, it's always a little bit different feeling, even if it is a jamboree, you know. I mean, it's a, hey, we're going now. So.
And then right out the back door, after that, you have familiar foes, 4 in a row, all at home, over the course of a weekend from the 28th through the 31st with Macon, Maryville, Moberly, and Mexico.
So it's funny you say that. So it says it on Misha that it's at our place.
Okay.
It is at Maryville.
Okay.
That one is at Maryville. I know Misha says it's at home, but it's at Maryville this year. We're doing in the tri-tournament deal. Every 2 years it switches places. So it is at Maryville this year. But yes, we do. We have to trek up there to the old Northwest and go play some.
I'm very glad that you point that out. That would have led a lot of people astray. I'm glad that you point out that was in Maryville. Realistic expectations without even really having seen your group of dudes even play a scrimmage yet as a full team while they're still in winter sports. Just what are your anticipations? What are your hopes early season?
I want to be the baseball team nobody wants to play. Regardless of what the record looks like, everybody wants to have a winning record. I mean, I don't know what coach doesn't want to win. That's the whole reason. You know, that's part of the reason we do this. Is we impact kids and we're competitive. I think a lot of our boys are competitive. You know, I mean, they want to win also, but I want to be the team that other coaches talk about and they go, we have to go play Kirksville today, because that's never fun. Whenever you got to get on the bus, and even if they're 8 and 12, you go, we have to go play up there today. You know, that's what I want our identity to be.
Very good. Cruz Lewis, brand new head coach of Kirksville High School baseball. Cruz, anything I'm forgetting to ask you?
I don't think so. I'm excited. I'm excited for the season. I really am. I'm like a kid in a candy store. I am. I'm excited to get the boys out there, play a little ball, learn some stuff, become better men. So,
when you were high school age, did you guys have a turf field, or was it still?
Nope. So whenever I was in high school, we used to play on that dirt field that held water 2 feet. I graduated, and then they built the thing. So both of my brothers got to play on it, but I didn't. Now, Kirksville, when I was in high school, didn't have turf field either. They were playing over at the park. So I do want to say that too before it ends. We have the nicest. I have fortunate. I mean, you talk about being fortunate again. We have the nicest facility as far as a baseball field goes in northeastern Missouri, guys. We really do. It is beautiful. It's a beautiful field. I mean, it makes you grateful that you get to go out there and play baseball every day, because a lot of people don't have this stuff. Maryville, they just got a brand new field right after I left. I mean, it just makes you grateful, especially after you play on something else that wasn't upkept as good or was built in the 70s, 80s, like a lot of these smaller schools are. I mean, it's awesome.
Their high school park, is it still down at the bottom of the hill, just turf now?
Yep. It is.
Yeah, they had a tremendous deal of games canceled. And that's the biggest thing, too. There's a lack of cancellations.
It's
the only able to get it in.
You get baseball. We get to play ball.
Yeah.
It is. But I got to say that, because, I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, from somebody who has so recently seen the adjustment from, like, dirt and grass to full turf, like, how is the game different in your eyes?
It's faster. Less bad hops. Turf plays fast. There's so many turf fields now. You get a lot of boys that play travel ball. They're used to it because they play on turf fields every weekend. But like our summer league teams and stuff, we don't always play on turf fields. So it's different. Ball plays different off turf. Gap shots, balls into the gap. They're fast. I mean, you have to bust your butt to get there. It's a little bit different. Not a lot different, but a little bit different. Some stuff to adjust to, but I love it. I'm so thankful for it. It's so nice.
Cruz, thanks for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate it. Cruz Lewis, first-year Kirksville head baseball coach, and we look forward to seeing what you can bring this spring.
I appreciate it.
Thanks. Joined now with a very interesting new friend of the program, Paul Yoder, who has been associated with the Aquadogs for 14 years, and Thomas Fitzler has been with him for 2. But this evening, we are joined by Coach Paul Yoder. How are you doing this evening, sir?
Very well. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for joining us. Do you appreciate Coach, or what do they call you?
Just Paul is fine. It's call me Coach Paul. We'll just go with Coach
Paul. Anyway, the floor is wide open to you. Just talk about the outreach and what the Aquadogs have done for such a long time, and just the program in general.
Absolutely. Well, the Aquadogs have been in Kirksville now. I can't even tell you how long they've been around. I was associated with the team about 14 years ago when my daughter signed on to join, and the team was going through kind of a rough spell. We had 4 or 5 swimmers. It was run by parent volunteers. And it was a wonderful program to give kids, an opportunity to swim, an opportunity to be athletic, to get them out of the house. But the team was beginning to fold just from lack of interest. We didn't have enough swimmers. And so I came on and said, let me have the team and let's give it one more year and see what we can do. And we began to advertise it and reach out to the schools and reach out to the community. And slowly, we've gradually built the team into any year we would have 25 to 37 swimmers on the team. And we really reached out to kids who maybe didn't have a place in organized sports. Swimming is a unique sport in the sense that you're only swimming against yourself. You're only swimming against time. We are associated with USA Swimming, so it is the Olympic organization swimming. So theoretically, if any of our kids swam an Olympic qualifying time, they could go to the Olympic trials. But in swimming competition, you're swimming against a time standard. And what qualifies you for districts and state national championships is not the person swimming next to you. It's whatever the cutoff time is for those particular events. So you're not competing against another person. You are literally competing against yourself. And that was very attractive to some students or some children who, they didn't mainly grow up in an athletic home. They didn't have the opportunity to play organized sports, which were very competitive. Many of the kids were afraid if I'm on a team and I make an error, I drop a ball, I let the team down. And this is just totally within themselves. And they just swim against that time. And it allows all the kids on the team to cheer for each other and to push each other. And then we set boundaries that you need to cross this threshold and then you celebrate. And it doesn't matter how good the person is that you're swimming against. If you get a time that's better than what you swam last week or last month or last year, we all celebrate that. And I think that's the true essence of what athletic competition needs to be, especially for young people. And it started to attract them to the team. And the team continued to grow. And here we are, 12, 13 years later, and we have a solid team.
I love that. Before we talk a little bit more about the outreach and what the Aquadogs do in general, you had referenced that your last competition had just wrapped up over the course of this past weekend. Is that
correct? We had districts last weekend.
Just talk about how this entire season went and what a season looks like for the Aquadogs.
Basically, the season looks like for the Aquadogs, we'll just kind of start with the summer and then work our way through the regular swimming season. It's kind of interesting that swimming is a fall and early spring sport. It's not a summer sport. So in the summer, the Aquadogs swim regional meets against other teams. We go to Kanoka, we swim in Hannibal, just all regional kinds of meets. And they're relatively low key, and it gives the kids an opportunity to see what a meet is all about, to swim in a very, I don't want to say non-competitive, but there's not a lot of pressure in the summer, and they just kind of learn how to do it. And then we swim bigger meets through the fall and the spring, and these are the USA Swim organized meets. We go down to Columbia. We swim 2 at the Mizzou campus, which is just a beautiful natatorium at Mizzou. We'll swim in St. Louis in the St. Peter's Recplex. We swim a meet there. We go up to Iowa in Des Moines, which is our last chance meet. And then all of these meets, they're swimming qualifying times. And if they hit a qualifying time, again, doesn't matter who you beat, you hit your qualifying time, then you can go on to districts. And if you swim fast enough, then you can go on to the championship meets. And we're getting ready for the championship meets right now.
What does that degree of preparation look like with the athletes who you still have remaining?
With the athletes we still have remaining, the full team will swim year round. So not just the ones going to districts or championships. We continue to swim as a team. And the practices don't change much. So even if you don't swim that particular qualifying time, you know what it is, and you continue to swim with the athletes that have made it. So we don't segregate the swimmers or the athletes out and, saying you're the ones that are going to championships and you didn't. We all continue to swim. We swim 3 nights a week at the Kirksville Aquatic Center. We swim 1-hour practices. There's optional practices if they want to do more than that. Truman State University has been very generous this year. And with our competitive team, those that are going to the meets have allowed us to use the natatorium here. Many of the Truman Bulldog swimmers also coach, and they volunteer their time to help our young swimmers. So yeah, that's pretty much how it works year round.
I love this, Paul, because you are the perfect intersection of everything that we're trying to do on this program. Outreach from the city of Kirksville in conjunction with Truman State University, in conjunction with local students, local kids. Where do you feel like that kind of intersects? You've already mentioned how gracious the Truman Auditorium has been, as well as the city of Kirksville, with the Aquatic Center and all of these kids in participation.
Well,
where does that all meet?
I can even take it a step further than that, because even the city of Kirksville with the Aquatic Center, which has been our home for so long, supports the team and everything that we do with the team. But with Truman State University last year hosting Special Olympics for the first time, we created a side team, a sister team, if you will, of the Aquadogs, and it's called the Beyond Boundaries Swim Team. And it's a swim team specifically designed for people with intellectual developmental disabilities, to give them the same opportunity. Because we saw with these kids that it gave them a sport that they could wrap themselves in. It gave them a sport that they were comfortable. It got them, active and moving and competing in what I think is a healthy way, because it's all competition that supports one another. And we thought, with Special Olympics coming to town, let's do something for, athletes with special needs. And I think the water is a perfect opportunity for that. So we opened it up. The city of Kirksville offered the Aquatic Center for a practice. We would practice just on Fridays. And I had no idea where this would go. I just put it out into the community, worked with SB40 to identify some young swimmers who might be interested. And we ended up with 11 swimmers that swam with us. And we swam 7 practices just at the end of the spring. We weren't associated with Special Olympics, so it wasn't a driver into the Special Olympics games. But many of the athletes we had did participate in the Special Olympics here at Truman. So we weren't sure if we were going to continue that the next year. So the Truman Greek Week organization worked with us and has awarded us a stipend, a financial stipend that will support the Beyond Boundaries for an entire year. And that will allow us to become a registered Special Olympics swim team here in Kirksville to prepare athletes for the Special Olympics games. And that came directly out of the Greek Week here at Truman State University. We never would have been able to run that program without Truman.
As far as somebody who's been involved with the program for 13 or 14 years, like you say, the Special Olympics here in Kirksville being such a slam dunk as they were at the end of May, beginning of June of this past year, I mean, how did that impact that platform, I guess I should say?
I think it's hard to say. It really is. It sparked the idea with us that, hey, we've opened this door to young people who may not have pursued, any kind of athletics. And the team developed into a truly competitive team. And then Special Olympics is what sparked the idea of there's another underserved population of young people who would like to get involved in sports and would like to get involved in athletics, and maybe they don't have a window to do that. And it gave us that avenue. And it was a totally volunteer program. I didn't have any money to pay the coaches. I had a number of Truman State University swimmers came over and said, hey, absolutely, we want to do that. We had students from the MAE program at Truman that wanted to offer their specialty in special education. Hey, we can help you. We can help the coaches, to help these athletes. And it was a wonderful experience. And then seeing, I think with Special Olympics coming to Truman, for a lot of parents, it opened their eyes to the possibility of what their son or daughter might be able to do with the instruction and with the opportunity and so forth. And that's why we really wanted to make it a full-blown registered team through Special Olympics. But it costs money to be able to do that. You have training, you have to pay your coaches, And then when Truman State University stepped up and said, yeah, let us help you support that team, I think is important. And that's where we're going. And to see the Truman State University swim team getting involved in what we're doing, it's just wonderful, because you have, athletes giving back to younger athletes beneath them, and you create that cycle. And I think that's really what we're after. That's what the team's about.
This would probably be a good opportunity to ask you between you and Mr. Thomas Fitzler, as far as anybody listening to this, as far as getting a hold of you and maybe some young athlete, future swimmer. How do they get in contact with you guys?
Best way to do that, you can just call the Kirksville Aquatic Center and they will put you in touch with me. We do have a Facebook page, the Adair Swim Association Aquadogs. Just search it on Facebook and all of our information's there. We do offer a free week for any swimmer who might want to come out, jump in with the team, try it out and swim. There's no obligation at all. We don't pressure you. Just come on out, swim with the team and see if it's something that you like. And we swim in the summer as well in the outdoor pool. So a lot of the kids see us swimming practices at 6:00 in the outdoor pool and get interested. And hey, we'll throw you in with that group. The Beyond Boundaries team will start on March 20th, right after spring break here at Truman. We practice on Friday nights from 6 to 7 o'clock. I'll run through the city of Kirksville in the Parks and Recreation Department. That's the difference between the Aquadogs is independent. Beyond Boundaries is actually run through the Parks and Recreation Department. So if you go to the Kirksville Parks and Recreation website, you'll see a registration link. There's information. My contact information is there, and I'd love to talk to you about either team.
Both websites very accessible, easy to get a hold of who you need to get a hold of. For you, Paul, I would ask you just in general, 13 or 14 years ago, aside from just seeing a need for a coach and seeing a program that needed some nourishment, I mean, where does your interest in the sport of swimming arise?
My interest, actually, it's funny, before we moved to Kirksville 20 years ago, I was a hockey player. And we moved to Kirksville. I took a faculty position here at Truman, and we don't have a skating rink in Kirksville. That's my next endeavor. So maybe I'll get on here with you again in another 5-6 years. We'll have a skating rink here in Kirksville. But I'm also a triathlete and former triathlete, and did a lot of swimming. And that got me interested. It got me associated with the Kirksville Aquatic Center and the people that work there. And then we just started talking about, there is a need in the school district. My wife's the guidance counselor at the middle school, William Matthews Middle School. And we see a lot of kids that they don't have a place. They don't have an identity, so to speak. And they tend to fall through the cracks. And I think athletics has a place for bringing these kids in, giving them a sense of team, giving them a sense of ownership, giving them a sense of working hard to accomplish something that's very individual. And I see some sports that kind of go in a different direction. And it pushes young people, I think, away at much too early of an age. And the swim team allowed us to start to pull those kids in and give them a purpose, give them something to do, give them direction, give them motivation, and give them, some self-esteem. And that's what I love about swimming, where you're just swimming against yourself, man. It's not about the person next to you. And there was a need for that. And it just blossomed out of that.
Where do you feel like this program can go, I guess?
I won an Olympian.
There you go. What does it take to get there, though?
It takes a lot of hard work. But when you look at where we started, if you go back 10, 11, 12 years ago, it was a program where we wanted to give kids the opportunity to be athletic, to be active, to just get some exercise. And that's where it started. And the more it has grown and the more confidence the kids begin to develop, we have middle school swimmers now. We have high school swimmers. We went to districts last weekend. We're going to regional championships next weekend. It has exploded out of that. We had, you look at the board. I love doing this. I go down to the natatorium here at Truman. I look up at the record board for Truman swimmers. And I go down the list and I go, that one coached for us, that one coached for us, that one coached for us. And there's no reason why our swimmers can't be doing those things. And last year, 2 years ago, we had a young lady, because our team, because we have Truman involved and we have the collegiate swimmers involved, we have garnered the reputation in the area of having the best coaching staff of any of the regional swim teams. And we had a young lady that came to us, and she was tiny when she started. This was years and years ago. And she would drive in from Memphis, because Memphis does have a summer swim team, but they don't have an indoor pool. And she wanted to go to college as a swimmer. And so she would come to us all fall and spring while their pool was closed. And her mom would drive her 3 nights a week from Memphis, Missouri to Kirksville to swim with us. And she swam with us for 4 or 5 years. and she signed 2 years ago. She is swimming Division III college now. And that's, to me, I love telling that story. To me, that is what drives it. You had this young person who had a dream, worked for it. You had parents that supported her, and now she's swimming at college and coming out of the Aquadogs to do that. I think is cool.
I think that is incredibly cool. Where does she? You just give her a shout out. Who is she?
I knew you were going to ask me that question. Where does she end up swimming? I'm thinking it's up in Iowa somewhere, and it's a small Division III school. And we always had Smith on the back of her name or on the back of her uniform. And from Memphis, Missouri, and now she's swimming Division III in Iowa.
And that's the objective of the program. Aspirations like that being met.
It is, and I would love to have a board at the Kirksville Aquatic Center that had Carly Smith, written up on the board. Is our first collegiate swimmer, but we'll have more. We've got some good swimmers on that team.
I will let you go on this, Coach. Where you mentioned that everybody is, and I love this too. It does not matter if you have been eliminated from a regional competition; you're still swimming with your teammates. Where does the season begin? How does the cycle of the season work? If somebody were to want to pick up and join, where would they anticipate they would begin this upcoming 2026-2027 season?
Next week. Yep. Anytime you want to start, that's the cycle of what we do with the swim team, that we don't have a beginning and an end point specifically for that. If you want to jump into it next week, we will get you involved. We do tend to swim in semesters where we'll swim in the fall. We take a little break around Christmas time. We come back in January. We swim until May. We take a little break in May, and then we're in the outdoor pool for all summer. But we don't have what's considered an off season in swimming. We swim regionally in the summer. We swim statewide in the fall and the spring. But if anybody wants to join, don't feel that you have to say, well, I got to wait until the sign up or the season starts. The season starts every Monday.
The season starts every Monday.
Yep.
I love that. Coach Paul Yoder, thank you very much for joining.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks.
We appreciate it. Coach Paul Yoder, Truman State University not Truman State University Aquadogs. The local Aquadogs, an intersectionality of Truman State University, the city of Kirksville, and local kids. Thanks again, Paul.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. We are joined now by Truman State University head men's basketball coach Mike Worley, and he has to be excited right now. Coming off of a pair of wins last week at UMSL 79-75, who he's trying to force out of the GLVC tournament, and then at Maryville 93-83. The Truman State University men's Bulldog basketball team currently sits a half game behind UMSL for a spot in the GLVC tournament with 2 left to play, hosting Indy at the time this airs on Wednesday, hosting Indy on Thursday, and then traveling to William Jewell on Saturday. All those things considered, how you doing, Mike?
I'm doing great. Good to see you.
Friend of the program, Mike Worley. Good to see you once again.
Yes, sir.
How'd last week go?
It was great. And the crazy thing about what you said, the way the GLVC does their point matriculation, we're actually 0.14 or 0.18. My assistants worked it up today ahead of UMSL in the 8th slot. Now, there's a number of scenarios that play out, but we're sitting, if it ended today, due to, act of God, and they had to stop before they played the tournament, we're 8th. So if we were to beat Indy, obviously if we beat Indy and Jewell, we're definitely 8th, probably 7th. If we were to beat Indy and lose to Jewell, and then some things play out, we're definitely 8th and maybe 7th. The key thing is if we win against Indy, we're probably, like 80-90% in. So,
aside from all crunching the analytics, sitting now at 12-14 and 9-9 overall in the conference is the most important figure. If I were to tell you those things 3 or 4 weeks ago, how would you feel about it?
Well, we're playing. I would have said that would be hard to get to there. Like 2 in a row. We really punted one away against Lincoln, or we would have won 4 in a row at this point. But yeah, 9-9. Given how we started with a tough schedule. We scrimmaged Washburn, scrimmaged Pitt State, open with Findlay. And then have played a very tough schedule. So some of the non-conference was a little misleading. We only played 1 non-D2. So yeah, we've continued to get better as the year has gone on, and we're stronger as the year goes on. We continue to shoot the ball better, as the year goes too. So,
and I would agree from outsider's perspective, 12-14 is a little bit unfair. The 9-9 point is a little bit more a little bit more pertinent. The thing that we talked about after the Lincoln game is the stuff that we have to work on if we want to be a postseason team. Out-rebounded 37-15 in that Lincoln game. Just outboarded and only out-turned over by two, but it felt like a lot more. What are some of those things looking ahead toward postseason basketball?
Well, great point. Very good point. And in both games last week over there in St. Louis, we out assisted them, and our turnovers were kept to a minimum. So I think we were 19-10 or something the other night on Saturday, and so we've begun to have 2-to-1 or 1.5-to-1 assist to turnover, which you and I have talked about is critical to ball security and no live ball turnovers. So we're doing a better job of protecting the ball a little bit, and then the combination of that and then not having any down rebound nights like we did, you noted, against Lincoln. We can play with anybody in the league, and if you can get to the quarterfinal the way this tournament's set up, you only have to win 3, and there's a lot of parity in those 7 to 8 teams.
While we have you here in this room, I really want to hit on before this point gets lost the wayside. You guys already have another home game coming up in your heads, but you've already had your senior day. Talk a little bit about that group of seniors.
Yeah, that was a great senior day, and thanks for your help and everybody on the table's help with that. But we had 4 seniors. Emmanuel Bird was here, and he was a guy I inherited that had spent time at Washburn Stately High School over in Kansas City, and put in a lot of time but hadn't played a lot before my year, and he's done a good job of plugging in and being a good part of what we're doing. So he finished on a nice note, I guess you could say, which was good. Brennan Lovett was from over at DeSmet High School in St. Louis, and he's finished on a strong note. He's played well down the stretch and played more minutes probably in the last, what would you say, 10 to 12 games than he had early, and really fit my mold of a high IQ guy that can play a lot of different positions for us, especially in the front court. And so I think it was great to be able to honor him, and he's had some injuries throughout the years, but it was neat to see him show up and compete these last 10 to 12 games so well. Javion Byers started out of Butler County, Kansas. He went up to North Dakota to a junior college, came back to Northwest Missouri and was signed by Ben McCollum, and then came here. And he's really turned it on offensively. He's one of our best pick and roll shooters, and he's just a in general good 3-point shooter that's elevated our program this year. And then Julian Brown I signed when I got here from Sanford and had been at Wagner, played in 2 NCAA tournaments, and just a good leader. Great young man, and is finishing off his career with us as a Bulldog and excited about getting a Truman degree. So all 4 of those guys add to the culture of the program and the foundation of what I want to build while I'm here. And I think you've noted that they're good young men contribute in the community, and excited for what they were able to contribute to us.
I think one thing that goes a very long way for those 4 individuals is that they're all very personable. I can say this from a firsthand perspective, very willing to work with the media and other members of the community, and I think that's very telling of a young man. Would you agree?
Yes, I agree. I think they're all stand-up guys. Now, you've been around a lot of sports programs, so that's part of our culture is we want to be engaging with people. We want to be stand-up. We want to have integrity about how we deal with people and have humility, which is one of our tenets. But yeah, they've been raised well by their parents, and then hopefully we've added to their ability to be mature young men in the program and go beyond basketball when they leave too. So.
And I think that they will have no problem doing that whatsoever. I think that they have kind of really exemplified what you're trying to do.
Good.
In your first year with the program. Look ahead to these imperative couple of games coming up. Hosting Indy. I know that your guys are going to be fired up for that on Thursday, and then back to Jewel. Go to Jewel on Saturday. An imperative final week of the season. What are you telling these guys, and where are your guys' heads at?
Well, we're playing for a lot, as you noted in your opening monologue, and I think Indy, I don't have to do much motivation with that one, knowing that there is that 0.14, 0.20 type parity between 8th, 9th, and maybe 10th, with Drury having an outside shot to gain the 8th spot, even though they really set 10th. So I'm not having to motivate a lot. I'm trying to put a game plan in right before I met with you guys. Continue to watch video on Indy, and can pop up my computer right now in 3 seconds and watch more of it. And so we're trying to game plan, and we've done a good job of that at home on Thursday nights in Pershing. As you know, we've been very successful on Thursday. So that's the last home game, like you mentioned. Then we go on the road to Liberty on Friday to play Saturday at 3 against William Jewell. we could get that one too. They're good, but we match up well with them. They're one of the better teams in the league, but we feel good about both. Obviously focused on Indy because with that win, we think we solidify the 8th for sure. A second win on Saturday though, and maybe we move into 7th. So not much motivation, verbally with my team. It's just trying to focus on the essentials. We did a lot of shooting today and try to save some of their legs for Thursday.
Kind of, I don't mean to torture the ball coach here, but allowing 75 and then 83 in the course of a week, a lot more points than you would like to see on the scoreboard.
Yes.
In conference games, but
Yes.
wins in both games. What do you take away from that?
Well, I take away from it, we're probably we're a little more efficient in transition and scoring the ball than I anticipated us being. So we give up a few more points, but as we both know at the end of the night, all three of us know it's, what the scoreboard says. If it's 191, which it was like that or something like with Missouri Western, you want to outrace. If it's a boat race, as we say in basketball, and you outrace your opponent, that's fine. Yeah, I'm giving up a little more points than I would like in the nature of what we want to do, but we scored a little easier too than I planned on us scoring, especially in transition. So I'm okay with it. We didn't play our best game, against Maryville Saturday, and we were deficient in some areas. They're rebuilding, as you know, or have had some. We've talked about they've had some issues during the season, but I feel for those guys, and so we didn't play our best game, but it was a win. We did play excellent, Thursday. And really hit St. Louis hard, and then they came back and pounced Jewel. They beat them by 20-21 on Saturday. So we awakened a giant over there on Saturday. But played well again Thursday, and then Saturday did enough to win. So first time we've won 2 back-to-back in a while, and so we're excited about Thursday. That'd be 3, and if we win that, that's what, 5 out of 6? It'd be 4 out of 5, and could finish with 5 out of 6 if we could beat Jewel. So
to that point, on the back end of your first season as head coach, what is the difference between what goes into home weeks Thursdays and Saturdays versus road weeks Thursdays and Saturdays?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. Well, the travel in GLVC is not horrible. It's not as bad as I was used to in the Sun Belt. We were spread out even more, but you are, earlier in the season, you're probably doing a little more live action, 5-on-5 combat earlier in the year to build habits and conditioning. But the last 2 to 3 weeks, we've done a lot less on Mondays. Tuesdays and Wednesdays are more an installment of continuity sets that the UND will run tomorrow, and then more focus on their personnel on Wednesday, but guard both their continuities on Tuesday and Wednesday for, 6 to 8 to 10 minutes, but not a tradition, terribly long. But we go back to our fundamentals of walling up and scratch handing the ball, guarding live, and then some defensive principles that we do every day. Plus, along with shooting, you got to shoot every day. You got to shoot a lot. So it's still a full practice, but, you get to the end of these seasons, and as hard as we try to play defensively, you do want to conserve some of their legs. So I'm trying to work on that.
Your guard-forward combos, your guard-forward starting lineups, and all of these dudes have been more than happy to accept their roles. You've had some of your best games with dudes coming off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Talk a little bit about just trying to find that perfect combination as you get closer and closer toward postseason play. Excuse me.
No, great question. We've got a guy like Emmanuel Bird who averages a number of rebounds, leads the team in rebounding, and second or third in scoring, third, second, somewhere in there. But he's taken a role off the bench that's really added a dimension to what we do because, he traditionally plays better with that lineup than he does the starting lineup. Quentin McCaffrey, he's done a good job of starting and filling that role, but probably playing less minutes than Bird if you just take the 5 position. Then Troy Anderson started early in the year, but he's been off the bench the last 2 or 3 months. So, everybody's bought into their role. I know you interview them a lot. You're around the locker room a lot. It's a great group of guys that really want to do well together and have a lot of continuity as a team. There's not a lot of egos in there. And I think that bodes well for the last 2 games and hopefully deep into this tournament.
I hope that you guys have fresh legs coming into this upcoming week for one final push. What goes into the I'm not going to ask you what your dietitian has to say or anything like that, but I mean, what goes into keeping these dudes fresh and keeping them healthy?
Well, that's another good question. We actually purchased, we've got some liquid vitamin stuff that we've used down in the Sun Belt at Troy for where I was a number of years. And we didn't have a lot of problem with sickness. So we use liquid vitamin with them. And I actually was in a group text today with them that, hey, let's make sure we're in the locker room maybe before you go to class and then before practice, take your pumps of liquid vitamins, because really this time of year they can get worn down and then the temperatures fluctuate, as we all know. Sometimes they're not wearing a stocking cap over there. Sometimes they're going to class and they forgot their coat. I mean, just they're still kids, like they're growing young men, but they're, they forget what we know as adults sometimes. So we're trying to keep them healthy that way. We keep them hydrated on the road. We keep them off their feet a lot when we are traveling. And thankfully, we've been pretty healthy. We've had a couple miss 3 or 4 practices last 2 weeks ago. And Troy Anderson went to get a strep test today, but he was negative, and he was at practice shooting today. So we're trying to keep them all healthy down the stretch. And you're right, legs are a big part of that so that we can guard the ball, defend, and make baskets.
Coach Mike Worley, one last thing I would leave you with is coming into this season, Truman State University men's basketball preseason, everybody who had a vote had no idea what this team is going to look like. And now here we are on the brink of knocking on the door of being able to make a conference tournament. How have things changed over the course of the past since mid-November?
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I think we're picked, 13th, or we're right in there, right? 12th, 13th.
12th or 13th.
And we're sitting a solid 8, and, would probably finish no later than 9 or lower than 9. So it's been an improvement, from what they thought. People didn't know me. I didn't know the league. It's a better league. It's well coached, which you educated me to that. It's well coached, and they're very fundamental, very efficient, and guys make shots at a high clip. So defense bodes well, but you gotta know personnel too, because scouting's important in this league. And I think when I looked at the Massey ratings or CBB analytics last week, we're the 2nd or 3rd ranked Division II league in the whole country. We were ahead of the Lone Star down in Texas. We were right there with Florida, and the MIAA's right there every year. But we were right there 2, 3, 4, which kind of shocked me because when I took the job, a lot of times the GLVC was 7, 8, 9, but we're up there 2, 3, 4. So it's been a great experience, really well coached. It's been fun to be in the league in year 1, and hopefully we can make some noise in 2 or 3 games over there in St. Louis. So,
Coach Mike Worley, it's been a great deal of fun. This will air on Wednesday afternoon. If you guys have an opportunity on Thursday, come check out a men's-women's doubleheader. Women tip off at 5:15. Is that correct? Women tip off at 5:15, men to follow. Everybody get out there. And then following that, both teams will finish with a doubleheader in Liberty at William Jewell on Saturday afternoon. Coach Worley, anything I'm forgetting?
No, you've done a great job, and I appreciate all you've done for me this year. Everybody on the table, the broadcast crew, which we're all very familiar with. It's just been a pleasure. Kirksville has been a great place for my family, and the university's been better than advertised. My boss has been wonderful. People I work with are great. All good things about being a Bulldog, man.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Coach Worley, thanks a lot, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Coach Mike Worley, head men's basketball coach of Truman State University. Thank you once again, you guys, for joining us for another episode of Raining Cats and Dogs. I have been your host, Henry Jansen, sports writer for the Kirksville Daily Express. We look forward to joining you guys next week. And Coach Worley, go Dogs! Win a pair of games this week. Come out to Pershing Arena on Thursday afternoon, and let's get another pair.
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it.